about that from the standpoint of sort of audience tested. Recycled, reused, obviously you don't want to hurt people. Manufacturing techniques, again, talking about quality control, minimizing defects, minimizing waste, minimizing energy, minimizing the number of steps, which generally, all of these are just rules of thumb, right? You can imagine there's certain things you can do to reduce the number of steps, but maybe you increase energy. So, we need to be thinking about trade-offs here too. Minimizing the number of components. Designing for efficient distribution, so reducing weight, size, nestable, sort of stacking. Here's a case where the packaging is the product. It's a light, kind of clever. Local production, minimizing the distances, transport distances. Low impact use of the product. I actually went to look this one up. This link is no longer active. So I was wondering, what they're doing here, if there's some kind of composting going on in terms of this portable lavatory there. But the idea is, minimizing water use, material use, energy use, minimizing emissions naturally. So these things are kind of obvious, right? Optimizing the product lifetimes, the durability, easy repair, easy upgrades. Designed for a second life with a different function. We'll talk about the seed phone later. It's something that's timeless, right? Designed for take-back programs. This group seems to be less into take-back programs than they were earlier in the week. Optimizing, so provide for recycling. Downcycling is better than no cycling, right? So, if you think about that aluminum-intensive vehicle, and maybe that aluminum-intensive vehicle at the end of its life, maybe it's going to be an engine casting. That's obviously better than using virgin aluminums, which you probably would never do. Biodegradability, safe disposal, the kinds of things you might expect. Okay, going to end here. You got to think about trade-offs. This is the problem with life cycle design. Is that, this again, I think comes back to Siddharth's point, we really need to understand these trade-offs, which is why we talk about some of the environmental science and emissions and ways of measuring emissions here in the class. If you extend the product life, you might reduce sales, as an example, right? You can reduce the number of operations in manufacturing, but you increase energy, right? And that's what designers do. They have to decide between trade-offs. But you obviously can't decide between trade-offs until you've established what those trade-offs are, right? So thinking about this. So, I don't want to be giving you a laundry list of stuff in class. We have our responsibility to say these things, so you know them, you've got them, we can test you on them. But, much more, I think, useful is going to be examples, okay? So starting next period, we're going to start looking at some examples of sustainable design. We'll talk about sustainable design processes, and we'll actually do a little design with SimaPro early next week. Okay? Have a great weekend in the meantime. Oh yeah, the name tents go in-class exercises go in, and your homework comes back. And Sarang's got that.